Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Laura Rodriguez, chef and certified autoimmune holistic specialist, and this is the Autoimmune Edible Rx, a show that helps you use anti-inflammatory diet and lifestyle as medicine without over-restriction and overwhelm. If you get hungry for more, check out my free webinar, Successfully Flare Free, that will teach you my 4-part epic method, which is the secret to successfully eating anti-inflammatory consistently enough to actually reverse autoimmune symptoms, stop disease progression, and start living again without sacrificing great tasting food or spending all day in the kitchen cooking. And don't worry, guys, I know what you're thinking, but no, this is not some long-winded sales call disguised as a webinar, okay? This is free 80 minutes worth of training that is absolutely jam-packed with valuable education that will leave you with a clear path to healing. You're going to learn which foods to eat and which foods to avoid if you have autoimmunity. You're going to learn how to eat out in restaurants so you can enjoy your life without flaring every time you eat off plan. You're going to learn how to do my boiler sheet tray method of cooking so that you can actually start cooking and cleaning in half the time, and so much more. So make sure to check that out after you listen to this episode. I've linked that in the show notes below for you. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Over the last few months, I've been working hard behind the scenes to get my Autoimmune Holistic Nutrition Specialist certification. Gosh, that's a mouthful. And this weekend, I passed my final exam and I finally received my certification. I'm so excited. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of the stuff that was in the program I already knew. I mean, I have been researching and healing my autoimmunity in addition to several other chronic inflammation-related conditions over the last 11 years now. So I've learned a lot along the way, but I also learned a lot of interesting things inside of this program. And so I'm really excited to share it with you. So today I want to share with you 5 fascinating facts that I learned about autoimmunity from my Autoimmune Holistic Nutrition Specialist certification, okay? Some of them surprised me, and I think it's going to surprise you too. So let's get into it. Number 1, vitamin D deficiency or they're not combined together, but just 2 things that were related. So I had to share both. I couldn't pick one. Vitamin D deficiency or, okay, a high sodium diet. They can both contribute to leaky gut. Now, we hear a lot about leaky gut, which is technically increased intestinal permeability because your intestines, your gut, it is leaky already, but it's increased intestinal permeability, the tight junctions in our gut that become leaky over time due to stress, toxin exposure, poor diet, all these things. That is one of the main triggers of autoimmunity, and that's a problem. It's something we want to prevent and something we want to reverse, right? For not just autoimmunity, but a lot of other conditions. You know, was it Hippocrates? I think that said, or was it Socrates? Hippocrates, I think, said that all disease begins in the gut, right? And so a lot of people are researching this. They've been researching gut health over the years. It's become very popular these days, but they have learned that it is a major trigger for autoimmunity. And so what happens is when the gut lining becomes too permeable, things that are supposed to stay inside the gut, they actually can leak out and enter the bloodstream and can trigger, chronic inflammation, immune dysregulation. It can lead to things like gut dysbiosis, food sensitivities, rashes, and other skin issues like eczema and things like that, allergies, right? And of course, just worsening autoimmune symptoms, right? So the encouraging part, though, is that, the gut lining can heal, and we've seen that through research. And so we're going to be talking about this gut health specifically every Friday in June inside my Autoimmune Edible Rx course and coaching program, including all the things that you can do to try to heal your gut or tests that you can get to see whether or not you have leaky gut, right? Because that would be first step, is not guessing, but rather to test. But in general, right, reducing your sodium intake and increase your vitamin D if low vitamin D is something that you have, but it is something that most people with autoimmunity have, may be a first step in healing your gut, right? So I found that really interesting, especially in terms of reinforcing the fact that reducing your intake of ultra-processed foods, which are traditionally very high in sodium, reducing your intake of fried foods, fast foods, restaurant foods, and instead increasing your intake of more scratch-made foods comprised of single food ingredients, right, that you find in the grocery store. So what do I mean by that? Foods that either don't come in a package, or when you flip the package around, it's just one ingredient. So things like zucchini, apples, onions, garlic, right? Quinoa, brown rice, olive oil, sea salt, things that if it does come in a package, when you flip around the package, you only see one ingredient, right? So basically meaning cooking from scratch at home using single ingredient food. So we know that that has great benefits on our overall health, especially for people with autoimmunity. But this gives you one little additional reason as to why. Okay, because high sodium diets can lead to leaky gut, and leaky gut is one of the main triggers of autoimmunity. Now, if you have been tested for low vitamin D, you now have, other than I need to get my vitamin D up, which can, increase your energy, which is great, but also that can help you to heal the gut, right? So that was interesting. Number 2, I found was interesting, is that white willow bark is basically like nature's aspirin. I had never heard of white willow bark before, and I've been taking supplements. I have a whole pantry full of supplements because I've been healing, or I've been managing my autoimmunity. I put it into remission twice over the last 11 years without the use of any prescription medication. So supplements are something that we use often, not just for fighting inflammation or increasing energy or bringing up any kind of like, micronutrient imbalances that we may have, but also if my daughter gets sick, or if I get a cold, or if I feel like I'm coming down with something, or if I feel a cold start coming on. We have tons and tons and tons of different supplements in the pantry to use for anything that would normally call for an over-the-counter, medication or prescription medication. So, but I found it interesting. I had never heard of white willow bark before. So apparently it's been used for thousands of years as a natural pain reliever. It's also a fever reducer, and it's naturally anti-inflammatory. So it's, I guess, very popular amongst ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and indigenous cultures. Okay, they've been using these things for centuries. So kind of interesting that I've never heard of it until now. Obviously nothing that I'm talking about in this podcast is medical advice. Please don't try any of these supplements or healing modalities without the advice and, direction and moderation of your doctor, please. But I just thought it was fascinating that there are plants out there, other plants out there that I haven't heard of, that people have been using medicinally for thousands of years, and that still today can be beneficial for folks with autoimmunity. Obviously, you want to make sure that you ask your doctor first if it would be safe for you to use, but that might be something that's helpful with the advice of your doctor that you could use if you are struggling with joint pain or any other aches and pains, muscle aches, things like that you would traditionally get from, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, something like that. Number 3, as we were just kind of talking about, this leads to the next one. Some herbal supplements can actually worsen autoimmune symptoms. Now, I've heard this before, but the things that I had heard before actually didn't make the list. So I thought that was interesting. I learned that there were actually 8 very commonly used herbal supplements that may make autoimmunity worse for some people. The 3 that I found most shocking were echinacea, which is something that I think a lot of people pull out if they have a cold or a flu coming on, or just want to boost their immune system. So maybe it's cold and flu season and you want to prevent catching something. Maybe a lot of people will take echinacea. Ginseng, which actually I took with great success when I had adrenal fatigue. I was diagnosed with stage 3 adrenal fatigue when my daughter was 3, and ginseng pulled me out of the depths of that. I was suffering with extreme fatigue to the point where I had to take a nap every single day, and I would be yawning through workouts. It was bad, and ginseng helped me a lot, but apparently this can make autoimmune symptoms worse for some folks. So definitely something to think about. And then lastly, lemon balm. Lemon balm is kind of like a calming effect. A lot of people use it as a sleep aid or a relaxant if you want to, instead of drinking alcohol, if you want to make yourself like a nootropic kind of like cocktail or mocktail. Lemon balm might be commonly found in some of those, and that can be triggering for some folks with autoimmunity. So that was very interesting for me to find out. So, definitely look into that if maybe you have these in your supplement cupboard, or you've been eyeing some of those nootropic kind of mocktails. Talk to your doctor first before you try some of them, because it can potentially worsen your autoimmune symptoms or even trigger a flare. So, which is a great reminder that, like, natural doesn't mean harmless, right? So definitely something to think about before you start trying the latest supplement that you hear somebody talk about on social media. All right, number 4 was that toxins can cause molecular mimicry. This was actually shocking for me, because molecular mimicry I've known about for years, because it is something that happens for folks with autoimmunity when it comes to food. Okay, so basically molecular mimicry is basically like when a foreign substance looks so similar to your own body's tissues that your immune system can't tell the difference between it and your own body, right? So say you ingest something, like you eat something that your body mistakes as your own body's tissues, right? And so it ends up going out to attack it. And while it's attacking this thing that you ate, it's also attacking your own tissues, okay? Now, typically you would see this in the case of like Hashimoto's, where folks, when they eat gluten, for example, it has the same protein structure as your thyroid tissue. So when you eat gluten, your immune system goes to attack the gluten, and it also attacks your thyroid tissue, right? But I learned in my certification that toxins can also do this, which is crazy. So I think it's really important to just know that we know that toxins are one of the main triggers of autoimmunity, but why? And this, I think, was a really eye-opening moment for me in learning why. Is that, not only can food trigger molecular mimicry, which causes your immune system to attack itself and attack the tissues there, but also toxins can. So things like heavy metals, heavy metals and things like that come from like your water, or maybe from your food, right? Because if you eat a lot of tuna, you can, be eating a lot of mercury. And so it just really made me realize like how connected everything is, and how there could be these little like situations in your life where you feel like you're doing everything right. Maybe your diet is perfect, right? And that's why it's so important to talk about all of these other things that we can do to heal autoimmunity, because yes, your diet could be perfect, but there still could be something underlying going on that's causing your immune system to attack itself. And molecular mimicry from toxins is one of those things that I never thought about. So I just thought that was absolutely fascinating. And then lastly, the last fascinating fact that I learned from my certification was that, this is a sad one, guys, autoimmunity is one of the top causes of death among women ages 15 to 64 in the United States and the UK. Okay. This really puts some things into perspective for me. Now, I know that autoimmunity affects women more than it affects men, and that it is on the rise across the globe to the tune of 12% every year. So I know that this is a big issue. But to hear that it is one of the top leading causes of death among women between the ages of 15 and 64, that was really shocking, okay? And honestly, I think this is something that more people need to be talking about, because it is affecting millions of people, okay? It's actually estimated that about 1 in 8 women in the UK are living with autoimmunity. And in the United States, autoimmunity affects an estimated 15 million Americans, with women being nearly twice as likely to have those diagnoses than men, okay? And yet so many women are being dismissed. They're being gaslit by their doctors, they're being misdiagnosed, or they're being told to go home and just, get on an anti-depressant, or that it's just stress, right? Meanwhile, they're struggling with chronic fatigue, chronic inflammation, digestive issues that won't quit, body pain and aches, skin rashes, brain fog, hormone imbalances, nervous system dysregulation, and so much more, right? I think one of the biggest things that this certification reinforced for me is that, like I said earlier, healing autoimmunity isn't just about food, right? Food matters deeply, okay? That's always going to be the foundation of everything that I teach and everything that I do, and always the number one place that I recommend everybody start. Because if you start with like, okay, I want to work on my nervous system, or I want to meditate more, I want to, you know, clean up my gut, right? Which you can't really clean up your gut without changing your diet. But say you started with one of those things, but you're still eating fast food, you're still eating restaurant food, you're still eating convenience meals that you microwave or pop into the oven. You're still eating ultra processed packaged foods, right? You're getting your protein in the form of a protein bar that's also full of sugar, right? None of those things are going to work to heal your autoimmune symptoms, like in a deep way. But conversely, if you get your diet perfect, that's not a guarantee that all of your autoimmune symptoms are going to go away. It's the best place to start because it can open up and give you more energy, time, resilience, capability to go beyond food. And so that's why every single Friday inside my Autoimmune Edible Rex course and coaching program, I actually help my students go beyond food. I teach them all the different healing modalities that they can do to lessen inflammation, reverse symptoms, and stop disease progression, and finally get your life back. Start feeling like your old pre-diagnosis self so that you can start doing more of the things you love to do with the people you love to do it with, right? So in January, the first of the year, we started with nervous system, but right now we're talking about detoxing. So each month is a different theme, and we go in depth, like what is the importance of this? What can you do about it? What supplements can you try to help you achieve these goals? And then every month at the end of the month, we try to, depending on what's going on, some months are busier than others and we can't fit it in. But at the end of the month, we try to do a monthly free challenge as well, where we can actually start to put some of these little things into action. And I emphasize the free things we can do, because that's the best way to start, is what can I do with what I have right now, right? And if it's free, of course you can do it. The only barrier there is your mindset and your willpower and your time and energy to actually put these into practice. But that's where the challenge comes into work. The challenge helps you, motivate you, and hold you accountable to actually do it. So that's a really fun thing. And so, but now this certification actually gives me the confidence to start sharing this with the public as well, to take it out of my group course and coaching program. And so that's why I've decided to actually expand my one-on-one offerings, my virtual offerings, because I know that it's very overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming, right? Autoimmune disease in general. And your doctor tells you this is what you have, this is what you can do about it, go home, come back in 6 months, and you feel like, I know there's more that I can do, but then you start Googling and it feels very overwhelming. You're like, wow, there's so much I can do. So I have a few new offerings on my website that can help you kind of break it down into things that are very easy and actionable so that you can start today. So from, getting a custom meal plan written up that aligns with the diet that you've been prescribed by your doctor, by your nutritionist, by your dietitian, right? But also fits the culinary desires of your family. So it's not just, let's get you eating salmon with broccoli and brown rice. It's, my family loves tacos. Okay, let's learn to make these tacos fit your current dietary needs, whether that's low FODMAP or AIP or Mediterranean diet or whatever it is that you've been prescribed. I can help you with that. I've been doing this for 11 years, okay? And I would be more than happy to help you. I also added one-on-one consultations. So if you're a very self-motivated DIY person and you're like, I can do a lot of this on my own, I have no problem building this into my schedule and doing the research and getting the testing, but I just need to know what to do and where to start based on where I am right now and what my biggest symptoms are, I can absolutely sit down with you one-on-one for 1 hour via Zoom and come up with a custom plan of action for you to start working on these things, based on the common, most important health and wellness practices that I've learned in my certification, okay? And in those consultations, I'll be giving you professionals to reach out to for more help, right? So if there's a specific doctor that specializes in your condition, I will absolutely refer you to them. If there's, a special dietitian that specializes in your condition, I will absolutely refer you to them. And that's the beauty of the consultation, is I'm going to help you figure out the best next steps to take and give you all the resources, and you can go off and do it on your own with whatever time and energy you have as it fits into your schedule. And there's no pressure to show up and participate in anything, right? I also added a private 12-week coaching session, which will help you yes, do everything that I just mentioned, but in a more structured way where I'm actually going to be available to you every single week via WhatsApp for texting. I can send you videos, I can send you voice messages, I can coach you through anything in real time. I can talk you through how to make your family's favorite meals fit your current dietary needs. I can, if you're in the grocery store and you need help, I can help you at the grocery store. But I'm also going to add there 2 weekly gentle accountability check-ins where I can make sure that you're staying on top and actually because here's what I see happen a lot. People join coaching programs, but then they can't stay on top of the coaching and they fall off. And then now next thing they know, when they do have a minute to breathe, they've missed 4 weeks of coaching and they have to catch up. And now they feel overwhelmed and now they don't want to do it and they fall off. Whereas this will be very gentle in real time. Let's start with what you're struggling with the most. Let's start with what you want to work on first. Let's start with what you have the capacity to work on first. Maybe you're like, Laura, I absolutely hate cooking. I don't have the capacity to do that right now. But look, I know that there are some healthier ready-made meals that I can start stocking my freezer with so that I can pop something into the oven or the microwave. Let's start there. And then while we're doing that, if you're like, I really need to get my stress under control, now that I've got my freezer stocked with some flare-free-ish or anti-inflammatory adjacent meals that I can just, cook quickly, let me work on what I can do to get the unnecessary stresses in my life out of my life so that I can start managing the stresses I can't avoid. We can absolutely work on that together. And I am really super jazzed to offer this to you because I think it will be really transformative for folks that don't necessarily want a group coaching program. The group coaching program is structured. It's what am I teaching this week? And you have to go along with the steps and wait until we get to the thing that affects you the most, right? Because there's a flow and a cadence to it, and I do it in a very specific way. But if you're like, Laura, I just want to jump, I want to cut to the chase, I want to jump to the things that I need to work on the most, we can absolutely do that for you. So I'm really excited to offer this to you. And then, of course, I'm offering private one-to-one virtual cooking classes. So if you're like, I don't want to join a course and coaching program where I have to look through 400 different recipes or look through 25 different meal plans and figure out which ones my family will like, and then take out the bell peppers from the fajitas because my family doesn't like bell peppers, but we love fajitas. I just want you to show me how to make a couple meals that I know my family loves in a way that I know I can get them to eat this without them noticing that it's healthy, okay? I can sit down with you. I will actually get all of your dietary needs and your family's food preferences, and then I will literally compose a menu for you to choose from. You're going to choose 2 of those dishes. I'm going to put those dishes into a custom meal plan with all of the in-depth instructions on what you need to do to set up for our class before you ever hit enter on the Zoom room. You're going to get a grocery list with specific ingredient suggestions, brand suggestions. We can talk about where to find these ingredients if you need help with that. And then we're going to cook together. And you don't have to have any special equipment. You don't have to have any cooking skills. All you have to do is follow the instructions on the meal plan I send you, right? The recipe packet, which will tell you how to get yourself, your kitchen, and your recipes ultra organized before we start cooking so that we can cook as quickly as humanly possible so we can get 2 dishes done in 2 hours, right? Then you hit you hit enter on the Zoom room. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know from start to finish exactly how to cook. You do not have to have any chopping skills. You do not have to have any prior cooking knowledge. I will teach you everything. So if you are a beginner or if you hate cooking and you just can't bring yourself to do it, this would be a great option for you. Or maybe you have a large amount of dietary restrictions and culinary desires, right? My son has an allergy to avocado, but I'm allergic to shellfish and almonds. But my daughter hates X, Y, and Z. We can do all of this for you. I will take care of all of it and make it easy peasy for you. That may feel very overwhelming to you. It is not difficult for me. Okay, I am trained in doing this. I've been doing it for 11 years, and I would be more than happy to help you. And along the way, you're going to learn quick time-saving cooking techniques. You're going to learn my broiler sheet tray method of cooking it if it fits. Like if you want to do braised short ribs, we can't do that on sheet trays in the broiler, but If it fits and we can work it into your menu, absolutely. You're going to learn the nutritional properties of everything that we're cooking. You're going to learn substitutions and any questions that you have along the way, any issues that come up, we can work through that in real time, which is the benefit of having a teacher there showing you step by step exactly how to cook. So all in all, to say, going forward, now that I'm officially a certified autoimmune holistic nutrition specialist, I'm getting used to saying that. I'm officially able to teach you all the things that contribute to the onset and therefore the proliferation of autoimmunity, but also the reversal of that, right? So we're not just going to be talking about food. That part will always stay, right? I'm always going to be a chef. I'm always going to have this expertise. I'm always going to have this passion to help you cook. But I do want to be able to, and now I can, share with you the lifestyle factors that can impact your healing, right? From toxin exposure to gut health, to stress, to nervous system dysregulation, and so much more, okay? Because healing autoimmunity, it is about more than just eliminating inflammatory foods, right? It's about supporting your body as a whole. So I'm super excited for this. I hope you are too. If you'd like to learn more about how I can help you one-on-one, go ahead and check out my private offerings that are linked in the show notes below. And you can even book a free 30-minute clarity call where we can sit down and talk together about how I can help you. So thank you for joining me for another episode of the Autoimmune Edible Rx podcast. Just to recap really quick, we talked about 5 fascinating facts that I learned about autoimmunity recently. Number 1, low vitamin D or a high sodium diet can cause leaky gut. Now, if you have both, now you know that's probably contributing to those loose junctions of your gut microbiome, okay? And increased intestinal permeability, also known as leaky gut, is one of the top main triggers of autoimmunity. It can lead to dysbiosis, it can cause chronic inflammation, and it can cause immune dysfunction, which can lead to autoimmunity. Number 2, willow bark, an ancient supplement that's been used for centuries, is basically nature's natural painkiller and fever reducer. That is so cool. I'm definitely going to have to get some of that just to try it. Number 3, some herbal supplements like ginseng, lemon balm, and echinacea, amongst others, can make autoimmune symptoms worse. Now, I'm going to share that full list of 8 supplements to be cautious of and ask your doctor about if you have autoimmunity. And each of these, it depends on the condition that you have. It's not a blanket statement for everybody, but I'm going to share that inside the Autoimmune Edible Rx course and coaching program, but these are just 3 that I was really shocked by. Okay, so make sure before you try any of these, you actually ask your doctor, which you should be doing in general. You should be asking your doctor before you try any supplement, especially if you're taking medication as well. Number 4, food isn't the only thing that can cause molecular mimicry, which is that crazy thing when your immune system starts to attack its own tissues because it mistakes your tissues as a foreign invader, right? Because they look the same. Like folks with Hashimoto's, when they eat gluten or, God forbid, drink beer. I always cringe when I see people with Hashimoto's drinking beer. I'm like, oh my God, it's the cascade that could be going on inside your body right now. When you eat gluten, your immune system can think, oh, that gluten is my thyroid. And it goes to attack itself, and then it attacks the thyroid while it's trying to attack the gluten, okay? And toxins, like heavy metals, can cause molecular mimicry too, which I had no idea about. And then lastly, autoimmunity is a leading cause of death among women in the United States and the UK. So much so that the National Institutes of Health is now classifying it as a, quote, major women's health issue. Okay, women are 4 times more likely to develop autoimmunity than men. Okay, so even if you don't have an autoimmune diagnosis and you're listening to this because maybe you tested positive for autoimmune antibodies, or maybe you tested positive for high CRP, right, inflammation markers, and you're a woman, now would be a great time to start changing your diet and lifestyle to prevent a formal diagnosis. Or if you're here because you have a formal diagnosis and you're struggling to bring yourself to actually start implementing the changes that I teach, now would be a great time to get your mindset strong so that you actually can start doing it, because there are 4 stages of disease. I'm going to talk about this in a later podcast because this is interesting too, but basically there's 4 stages of disease. If you're at the point where you already have an autoimmune diagnosis, there's only one other stage after that, and that's irreversible damage. So if you're here with an autoimmune disease It's really important that you start incorporating these lifestyle and diet changes so that you can prevent irreversible damage. When you get to the state of irreversible damage, that's where, disability can form. And we don't want that to happen. We want to be able to heal the thyroid, heal your liver, heal the gut, heal your joints, right? So if you need, and lastly, I'm going to say this last one thing, because it's really sad. Global rates of autoimmunity are rising to the tune of 12% a year, every year, all across the globe, okay? So if we don't start taking action to do something about it now, those numbers are only going to go up, not just for us, but for our kids and our grandkids, okay? So if you need help getting started, check out the links in the show notes below. You can join my free webinar. You can check out my Autoimmune Edible Rex course and coaching program. It's 52 weeks of live group coaching that you do not have to show up for. It's not a Zoom, sit down for a 1-hour Zoom call. It's not that. Now, we do have opportunity to get custom help and to sit down and, submit your questions, and I'll reply with a custom coaching call. And we often have one-on-one office hours where you can get one-on-one support from me. But what I've found in doing this over the last 5 years, most people don't have time to sit down for a 1-hour Zoom call every week, right? They just don't. And so my course and coaching program provides you with all the education, information, support, custom feedback that you need to start implementing these diet and lifestyle changes in small incremental ways so that it actually sticks without the hassle, the burden, the time constraints of a Zoom call, okay? So check that out. That sounds like something that would be beneficial for you. Check it out. I've linked it in the show notes for you. But also now I've added one-on-one private virtual services as well, okay? From consultations to private meal plans to a 12-week coaching program where you and I can sit down together every week via Zoom and talk it out. You have daily access to me via WhatsApp, and then you'll get 2 gentle accountability nudges every week to make sure that you're staying on track so we don't fall behind within those 12 weeks. Now, I do want to note that the 12 weeks, yes, it is a 12-week program so that I can kind of map out my months. But what we're going to do is we're going to, basically you're prepaying for 36 hours of my time. So if in the first four weeks, say, you want to hit it hard and you need a lot of help and you're working through a lot of things and we kind of go through more hours in the beginning, I'm just going to log your hours. And then as you start to get better and you don't need my help anymore and you start to taper off, yeah, maybe our time together will go over 16 or 20 weeks, right? It's not going to stop at 12 weeks and, if you haven't used your hours, I'm sorry for you. Another benefit of this is, say, for example, you have a 2-week vacation planned. Or say, for example, you get sick and you end up in the hospital. You don't lose that time with me. It's not finish it in 12 weeks and good luck to you. It's you have 36 hours with me banked and we can do with that what we can. But in general, it should take about 12 weeks to complete, okay? So as always, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Autoimmune Edible Rex podcast. I'm your host, Laura Rodriguez, chef and certified Autoimmune Holistic Nutrition Specialist. I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. If you did, please share it with a friend or leave the show a rating and a review. It really helps this message reach other women with autoimmunity all around the world that need it, okay? And there are millions of us. And as always, if there's only one thing that you can do for yourself this week, okay, please eat your damn vegetables. All right, guys, bye!